Hi there. Welcome to Bible/Chat. We're going to chat about the Bible.
Yep.
And last time we talked about sin and how everyone is evil.
Yeah.
All humanity is totally depraved.
Right.
They're sinful through
Right.
and through. No spark of goodness.
Nope.
And that sort of brought up a follow-up question.
It did. And the follow-up question was this. You see little kids, and they're so cute and adorable.
Yeah.
And they're not like...
Some of them.
Some of them are. And they're not consciously doing bad things. They're not aware even, I think we would say maybe at a certain age. So isn't it like... is really everybody guilty and bad and sinful? I mean, what about children? Aren't they innocent?
Very good question.
What's our answer to that?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I think the answer is very clearly, the Bible very clearly answers the question. A couple places that are important. The first one is Psalm 51. Psalm 51 is the psalm that David writes in repentance after his sin against Bathsheba and against Uriah. And then against the whole nation of Israel. He's sinned really against everybody. He's lied. He's forfeited his position as king. He's committed adultery, murder, things that would make the news if people in America did it. And David is the king of Israel, the king of this theocracy, and he commits these evil crimes. And in Psalm 51, he's repenting to the Lord. It's a psalm of contrition. And in verse 4, he says, "Against you and you only have I sinned, and done what is evil in your sight, so that you are justified when you speak and blameless when you judge." So here's David expressing that while he has sinned against all of them, really it's an issue of his heart. He's evil, and that evil is against God first and foremost.
Right.
And that's him as an adult, and you say, well, okay, yeah, but he's an adult there.
Right.
But then what he says is that wasn't a one-time act. He actually backs that up in verse 5, and he says, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity. From the time of my birth I've been sinful. And in sin did my mother conceive me." So he says he's not saying my mom was sinning when she conceived me.
Right.
He's saying my mom, in the moment of my conception, I inherited from my mother and father this sinful nature. And that sinful nature that I've inherited is what caused me to live with iniquity as a child, and now to have the iniquity in my life now. That sin nature is in me. And so David is saying, from the very moment of my conception, as a person, I was sinful by nature. And then that sin by nature is just what's inherited. And Paul explains that in Romans chapter 5, verse 12. We flip over there. In Romans chapter 5, verse 12, Paul says, "Therefore, just as through one man sin entered into the world," so that's Adam. Sin comes into the world through Adam. And death through sin. So death sort of rides on the back of sin, the natural consequence of sin. So death spread to all men because, Paul says, all sinned. And so this principle is that every single person that's ever been born in the history of the world was born with a sin nature. And a child doesn't necessarily have a will that they're engaging when they're born. They're just infants. But once that will comes into play and it engages with the sinful nature, it proceeds towards sin.
And out comes some expression of
sin. And that's going to happen for every single adult that's ever been born. And to the extent that they are so much so that they are unable to seek after God. They don't seek after God. They don't do what's good.
And so cute, adorable little kids, angels?
Yep.
Not exactly.
Demons in waiting, that's all. No.
So not a single person born is innocent.
No innocence, right. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that answer.
Yeah, for sure. Which brings up a follow-up question. We'll do it next time.
We will do it next time.
All right, very good. Thanks so much.
Everyone.